The Aviation Sustainability Forum just released information that the airline industry wastes about $4 billion per year on untouched food, right? So that is items that go on the plane, are not touched, and then are taken off the plane, right? So $4 billion per year. And so that is a huge amount, especially when you have people starving all over the world, right? Think about how much effort is put into that $4 billion number. And so being able to give airlines enough data to reduce that amount, right? So when you start talking dollars and cents, you start talking about millions and billions of dollars, people start to pay attention, right? And you say, hey, we have a platform that allows you to not disrupt your operation, right? It will not disrupt your operation because we know getting planes out on time with food, with bags, and passengers being safe is a #1 priority for the airlines. And so our goal is, how can we implement a process that is easy to implement, easy to use, but still give you the data back that allows you to increase sustainability, allows you to save money, reduce expenses, but still please your customer, right? So that's the balance that we have to make. You can still reduce costs, but your customer satisfaction is not compromised. And just from an airline perspective, right? We've looked at beverages, we were looking at like cutlery, plates, things like that. We're also looking at food, so perishable food. So if you think about an airline that loads first class meals or business class meals, once you load that item onto the plane, say there's 20 business class seats or 20 first class seats, once you load those 20 or 30 meals onto that plane, if they're not consumed, then they have to be thrown away, right? So regardless of the capacity or regardless of how many people are in that cabin, those 20 meals have to be thrown away if they're not consumed. So we give them enough data to say, and actually we're working on a client right now to look at installing cameras on conveyor belts. On the conveyor belt, as those items come off the plane, they're put into the kitchen. There's a Countifi camera on the conveyor belt that looks at the items that are coming off, right? And so if we're able to build a model to identify a piece of chicken compared to a piece of beef, or the dessert tray. Because a lot of those times when they come off the plane, they're still wrapped in plastic, they're still wrapped in aluminum foil. But if we can say, hey, on this particular day, we see that 20% or 30% of your beef dishes came back and were not consumed. They came back untouched, right? Imagine how much money that could save the airline day after day after day, right? A lot of these airlines have millions of flights per year. So if you have millions, 2-3 millions of flights per year, removing one dish or two dishes can be a really big deal, right? Imagine you have 3 million flights per year. You remove one dish per year or two dishes from each flight that costs, I don't know, $2, $3. 2 times 3 million, right? Now, all of a sudden you remove two dishes and had the potential to save $6 million, right? Giving enough data and telling our clients what is possible. Because a lot of times the data that we're providing, they have not seen before. They haven't seen before because either they've done a process, they've done a manual process. So we've talked to a lot of clients that, hey, we did a manual process where we had people counting the items that go on the plane. And we know that's not sustainable. Somebody already has a full-time job, and we're gonna take them 2 or 3 days to go to another location and manually count something, right? That might give you a snapshot of one particular day. But if you think about for the Countifi process, what we do, we'll install cameras, or we have a mobile app that allows you to get data constantly. So if you have 3, 6, 12 months worth of data that allows you to analyze, it's not just a snapshot where you have to extrapolate one data point into all your flights. You actually have a sample or actual items from your flight, from the actual flight. So hey, this flight from Los Angeles to New York City at this particular time of day, we see that this is what was consumed. We see that in the morning time, the flight's too early, so people are not eating breakfast. If people are not eating breakfast, then all those items are being wasted, right? So if you have that data to go back to your executive team and say, this is what we see. We see that 50% of the breakfast items are not being consumed, right? So now that we have that data point, now everyone has to get comfortable, like, okay, can we reduce those breakfast items by 20%, 30, whatever that percentage of reduction is, to show a decrease in expenses, right? A decrease in expenses and also the overall sustainability. Because once you start removing items from a plane, or you have the data to remove items, it's not just the inventory costs that you remove, right? Every pound has a fuel coefficient, so there's a fuel impact, right? Somebody literally has to put those items, whether it's a meal or it's a beverage or it's a soda can, a liquor bottle, somebody has to put that item on the plane. And so if you reduce those items, that's also a labor impact as well. So what we try to do is say, but through the Countifi process, we can definitely give you data to reduce your inventory amount or optimize your inventory, right? And if there's any reduction, it has a fuel impact and it also has a labor impact as well.